If you run a home service company and you're wondering if Angi is worth the money, this video will save you hundreds or even thousands of dollars, because Angi can be a good or a complete drain on your margins. It depends on the numbers, the market, and your operations. In this video, I'll break down how Angi really works, the actual lead cost for HVAC, plumbing, roofing, all of these home service industries, the math behind their close rates, why many contractors lose money, and when it does make sense to actually use it. By the end, you will know if Angi should stay in your budget or get shut off today. First of all, quick introduction to Angi for the people who don't know about it. Angi, formerly called Angi's List, merged with Home Advisor and became one of the biggest home service marketplaces. Homeowners search for things like clogged drain, water heater repair, AC not cooling, anything like that, and then Angi connects them with contractors. For many HVAC and plumbing companies, Angi feels like a fast way to get customers. But the real question is not if Angi sends leads. The question if those leads are even profitable after you factor in lead cost, competition, and close rate. Now let's first of all see how Angi works, and then we can get into the math of whether or not Angi even makes sense. First of all, Angi brings in leads via pay-per-click, which is nothing but your typical Google ads, and then also search engine optimization, which is SEO. So they're ranking on Google for terms like HVAC company in XY city, and then Angi sends you the leads, or let's say AC repair in XY city, and then visitors land on Angi's website. Now what Angi does is a homeowner fills out a form on Angi's website, and then Angi sells that single lead to several contractors in your area, and you get billed the moment the lead hits your phone, even if the homeowner never answers the call. And because these are shared leads, speed is everything. Homeowner submits a request, Angi sells the same lead to multiple contractors get charged instantly, and this is basically a shared lead model. Now talking about typical lead cost. So in plumbing, it's anywhere between $20 to $70. HVAC, it's anywhere between $50 to $120, but can certainly go to $150 or $200 depending on the type of lead Angi is actually sending. And in some competitive markets and industries, be it roofing and all of these markets, lead cost can go much higher than what we're talking at the moment. And talking about this seems fine until you realize these are not exclusive leads. They're actually shared leads, and they usually go to anywhere between 3 to 6 contractors in your area. And the contractor who calls first often gets the job, and that makes response time critical for profitable campaigns in Angi. Now talking about the benefits of Angi and basically pros and cons, and then we'll talk about the math and whether it makes sense for you or not to actually register on Angi or use Angi to bring in leads for your company. Let us be fair, Angi is not always bad. Okay, there are moments when Angi makes sense and it can be profitable. For instance, lead flow is pretty fast, and if you're just starting out, you have no other option to bring in pretty damn quick leads, so Angi is good for new companies. And third, it's also good for brand exposure. Since you get visibility, you get some customers from Angi's, you can actually ask those customers to leave you a review on your GBP, so it's kind of helping you in building your Google business profile or organic channel until you haven't established them. And the last, flexible service and zip targeting, so you can actually target specific service areas and services. I hope that makes sense. Now talking about the downsides or the cons of Angi. First of all, the main one, share leads, so it just reduces your close rate immediately. Second, high competition for the same customer, so Angi is actually sending one lead to 5-6 different contractors, so you're actually fighting on price, so that's the stuff. And third, expensive for low ticket jobs, so if you're talking about repairs and all, Angi might not make sense honestly. Fourth, low intent or wrong fit leads. A lot of times you will see that the intent of those customers, it's not actually to buy but just to do window shopping, so they are just there to actually see what's the pricing and all, and you get charged for that, so you can't do anything. And refunds can be difficult as well, and then real CPA can become much higher than what you're seeing, sometimes over $1,400. That is the stuff. Then we'll talk about the profit math and stuff like that, but first of all, let's see when Angi actually makes sense. Angi makes sense when you're responding within a minute or two, then you have got strong phone skills, new businesses that needs reviews, and then high ticket services, and you're using Angi as a small part of your lead mix, not as a big one. Okay, now let's talk about Angi leads and the math behind it, right? Let's say if Angi is charging you $100 for a lead, but that lead is being shared to 5-6 different contractors, right? And let's assume that your conversion percentage is anywhere between 10 to 20. Let's take both examples, right? If your conversion is 10%, then your actual cost per acquisition is $1,000 per customer, which is crazy high, right? And if it's 20%, it's $500, even though that is crazy high. And this is crazy high in HVAC and plumbing. And if you're talking about roofing and other industries, that's gonna be the pretty much same number, right? So these are crazy high acquisitions. So just remember that this is gonna be the average number of customer per customer acquisition. Even though if you're really fast with calling people and a lot of those stuff, just remember that anyone coming to Angi is usually someone who's extremely price constrained, right? Because they are just there on Angi because they know that this is a bit cheaper compared to calling a specific company and then talking to them, right? That's the whole stuff. Make sure that this math actually makes sense to you. For repair jobs, it might not make sense, but if you have got a really good sales skill where you can upsell them and things like that, then Angi makes sense. I hope that makes sense now. And this is the same reason why Angi fails, right? Because if you have slow response, if you have a heavy competition in a city, let's say if you're in a city which is having more than 100k population, you have got mild to heavy competition, right? Then if you have got low average ticket, that's again something that you will struggle on Angi. If you have got close rate under 10% or under 20%, man, that's gonna be nightmare for you. Then relying on Angi as primary lead source, then your business is standing on one single leg. You need to have more or better alternatives, and you can focus on these alternatives mainly. And if these are already working for you, you have got some marketing budget to spend on, then you can focus on Angi, in my opinion. First of all, Google local service ads, nothing is better than that. Nothing. Because you're getting charged only when Google sends your lead, and it's really easy to flag a lead. If you think that's a spam or that's not a service that you want to focus on, you can easily request a refund from Google, and Google's gonna give you a credit. Then Google business profile, this is again a great lead source. This is free, absolutely free, but if you optimize it well, if you have got enough reviews and stuff like that, you can get 100 calls, 150 calls a month from just GBP. We have seen that in peak season. One of our client who's in a city with just 1k population got like 130 calls a month for 2-3 months straight, right? So that's the stuff. Then local SEO, your website, your Google business profile and things like that. Then Google search ads, which is nothing but pay per click, the typical Google ads. This is again a good model as well, because if you see what Angi is doing, Angi is actually bringing in leads from these sources only, and it's just sending the same lead to 5-6 customers, and hence it's profitable. I hope that makes sense now. And then referral and repeat customer system, referral and word of mouth, there's nothing better than this stuff on a planet. The conversion rate from this specific channel is much better than any other channel existing on the planet. I hope that makes sense. Now coming to our final verdict. Is Angi Leads worth it for HVAC, plumbing, roofing, or any home service companies? Angi works for companies with tight operations where the whole sales system is set up really well, and if you have got fast response times, and again saying this, are really good sales processes. But if you don't have that, it fails for companies that rely on luck or slow follow-up. If you have got slow follow-up, Angi is gonna not work for you. Also, Angi might not work for you if you're someone who focuses a lot on quality, because again saying this, leads on Angi's, they're really focused on pricing. They are extremely focused on price. So just make sure that you charge lesser, right? And if you don't want to do that, just establish your own alternatives lead source, because Angi is not for you. Again, Angi is not for you if you want to grow your business, if you want to scale it. Initially, if you're just establishing yourself, yes, then Angi might be for you. Angi might be a good source. Do not judge Angi based on feelings or reviews. Judge it based on your CPA, your ticket size, your profitability, and your lifetime customer value. Then you'll get a full idea. Again, if you want me to compare Angi to Thumbtack or local service ads, or if you want a video breaking down the ideal mix of for HVAC or plumbing or any home service businesses, comment below and I'll talk about that. I'll see you in the next one. Till then, bye bye. Have a great day.